All right. Hello and welcome to the session on meeting the needs of the modern customer. It is my pleasure to welcome our panelists, including Clotilde from Collins Aerospace, Matt from FlightAware, and Stacy from United. Now, one of the things that we've seen in a lot of the keynote addresses, discussions earlier today, is that this year was really phenomenal, right, in aviation. During COVID, never before have we seen such a sustained and dramatic loss in demand. And then in 2022, it came roaring back. And along the way, there were some bumps. And I'm sure that many of you in the audience experienced some bumps in your air travel this past summer as you returned to the skies. In this panel, we're going to look at how data and technology are helping the industry not only get back to the service levels we had before COVID, but are helping improve your travel experience going forward, making it more sustainable, stress-free, and also seamless. We're also going to look at how these data are being collected in real time and then translated into meaningful insights that are connected to you, the consumer, or pilots, or gate agents, or other entities to help make your travel experience more seamless. Okay, so with that, I'd like to get us started. Stacy, I'm going to start with you. So what is United doing? How is it using technology to help improve the customer experience?
You know, we hear a lot of themes about what's important to customers, and communication as well as transparency are two very big themes. Customers want to know what's going on. They want to know what's happening, not just at United, but with every company they interact with. I bet many of you got a notification today about something you purchased and the shipment tracking, when it's going to be delivered. One simple example, we all are in this culture where we like to know what's going on with the companies where we do business. And at United, we're working very hard to communicate with our customers any way we can to let them know what's going on, especially as they approach day of travel. From our award-winning mobile app to text messages, we're finding new ways to talk to our customers and be as transparent as possible.
Excellent. Clotilde, I'd like to start with the next question for you. So I must admit, when I was flying up from Atlanta to DC this morning, I was thinking of you because Collins Aerospace is known within the industry as being a leader in collecting data and massive amounts of data in real time. As the plane is flying, customers are on the aircraft, and then not only collecting it, but beaming it back down to the ground so that individuals can use that data in ways to help improve the customer experience. So I'm wondering if you can give an overview of what Collins Aerospace calls creating this connected aviation ecosystem, and how you're integrating data from multiple sources to help improve the customer experience.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you think about the amount of data that the aviation is generating, it's absolutely amazing. And so what we do is it starts with collecting the data, whether it's from in the air or on the ground, and then flowing those data to the stakeholders and to everybody who needs those data in order to be able to operate. And then the last step of it is extracting the value of those data. So as we process the data, we optimize, we help optimize, and we help the aviation industry optimizing the operation. So we have a piece of every phase in this process, and we continue learning, actually, like all the rest of the industry is learning of what can we do with those data. But we have a major role in this connected journey, and actually it's exciting.
Thank you. So Matt, next question for you. So I was also thinking of you recently when I was at a baseball game because I had a flight to catch and the game was going to extra innings. So I wanted to know what was going on with my flight, checked FlightAware, and I don't think I was ever so happy to see that it was delayed. But in this case, FlightAware, can you really describe how you're using that data to help improve the customer experience?
Sure. So it's the same theme that Stacy was talking about. Passengers want insights that they can utilize to enhance their travel experience. So FlightAware is always striving to find great insights and useful ways that we can deliver those to passengers and the rest of the aviation ecosystem. So I'll give you an example of one that we did a few years ago. So imagine this scenario. You're walking up to your gate, it's about 20 minutes before departure, and you're expecting an on-time departure, but you look out the window and you don't see an aircraft there. I'm sure everyone has been there, right? Never happened at United. But the airline is still calling for this on-time departure, and you're wondering, well, what in the world is actually going on here? You're kind of stuck in this moment of anxiety. So as travelers, we thought, well, wouldn't it be great if we could just show travelers where the actual aircraft was that's assigned to their flight? So we created the "Where is my aircraft now?" feature. Right, so it can tell a variety of stories. Maybe it's been over at the maintenance hangar and it's taxiing back to the gate. So now you're empowered to make a decision that's best for you. Maybe that aircraft is stuck in a hold over Dallas-Fort Worth because of a weather situation that's developing, and it's going to be at least an hour behind before it gets to your gate and executing your flight. In either one of those scenarios, it's about transparency. It's about connecting the traveler with that insight, and we're continuing to do that over and over again. That particular feature has been really well received by passengers, of course. Airlines really like it as well. You see a lot of applications from airlines adopting this type of transparency. One thing I think that's interesting as part of this, though, is that customer expectations are going to shift off of this. They say, all right, you have this transparency, you have this insight, so what are you actually going to be doing on my behalf as my agent without my direct involvement necessarily with this insight that you now have? And we think a lot of airlines, really smart airlines, are getting good at capitalizing on those insights.
Yeah, so that's a great lead-in to the next question I'd like to ask Stacy. There has been a lot of buzz lately in social media about something that United calls its Connection Saver program. My sense is that you guys are using massive amounts of data to basically tell passengers when they need to run or how to get to their next connection. Can you describe that program, how it's impacting your operations?
Yeah, I would be happy to talk about that. We're very proud of the Connection Saver story. There is a tremendous amount of data that goes into making almost every decision at an airline. I think everybody here can relate to that. And I talked earlier about customers wanting information. The next step in the evolution for us was helping our employees make decisions in the moment that are quicker, but also really great for customers. And so in order to make that transformation, we had to operationalize the data. Keeping data locked up in a database doesn't help very many people make decisions. And so we studied all of the elements you have to consider. And it's not as simple as when the customer's flight is going to arrive and when the next one's going to depart. Those are just two pieces. In fact, if you take one flight as an example and assume one passenger has a connection that we want to save or we want to hold for, that one instance has hundreds of pieces of data surrounding it that we also have to consider. The crew, other passengers, taxi time. Those are just a few examples. And so we brought this collaborative team together to stitch together all of the pieces, but also think about what would be the human decision-making process and build a great solution. It's a great team effort, and we're appreciative of very special partners that we trust very much that are a part of that solution too, because some partners have great data that we love to work with, which you know, Matt. The Connection Saver tool launched in 2019. It's live at every domestic station for United. It's also live in Puerto Rico, the US Virgin Islands, and Canada. I'm very proud to say we're testing it at 3 international locations currently. And since 2019, we have saved 1.25 million passenger connections. It's a great tool.
Wow. So Stacy, that's great, and it's also really nice to see that FlightAware is one of the partners that is helping to share data for that. Matt, coming back to you, this is one example, right, of how your data have been used. Are you seeing anything else, like on the innovative side, how other companies might be using your data?
Absolutely. Our data is in all kinds of places, whether it be weather agencies, airports, air navigation service providers, like Eurocontrol in the FAA, banking, accounting, insurance. The FlightAware data has relevance in lots of different segments of business and tangents of the aviation industry. The part that people are really latching onto right now is our FlightAware Foresight program. So this is our artificial intelligence and machine learning efforts to more accurately predict when an aircraft is going to be landing on the runway and pulling into the gate. These estimates contain 30 to 50% less error than anything else that's available in the market today, including the estimates that are coming out of a flight management system on the aircraft itself while the aircraft is in flight. So tremendous amount of interest in this data, and it's being used in all facets of aviation. Speaking to your subject of pushing the data down so that it can be operationalized and allowing anyone to make decisions off of this data. I used to be a fuel truck refueler or an aircraft refueler at Charlotte Douglas Airport a long time ago. And I remember the days where we had our fueling assignments that were assigned to us. It was a piece of paper, mostly based on the schedule of when the aircraft would be coming in. So I would be driving the fuel truck, I'd go to my refueling assignment, and oftentimes that aircraft actually wouldn't be there at the time that my piece of paper told me that it was supposed to be there. I was not empowered in any way whatsoever to make a better decision. So there I was, wasting my time, wasting the truck's time, pushing emissions out into the atmosphere because I like the air conditioner in the truck. And just wasting the company's time, right? If I had this type of information pushed down to me in this dynamic way, I could have optimized my little piece of the aviation universe and made that better, made the company more efficient, made the world more sustainable. I wish I'd had access to something like this back then.
Yeah, sounds great. So Cotil, another question for you. One of the things that often amazes me about aviation is that there's so many things that happen behind the scenes that customers don't know about that helps improve their experience. How is technology used behind the scenes to make travel smoother? We can think about this both figuratively and literally, and help improve the customer experience.
So you're right. There is a lot going on behind the scene, and it's amazing how the new technologies that we have can lead to new solutions. And as I said before, we continue learning as we go. So those new technologies allow us to continuously improve the solution. So there is a lot of solutions which are coming to my mind, but let me pick just two because we have only 16 minutes. And I'll take the first one, which is, I'm sure all of you have been sitting in a plane at the gate, not United plane, of course, but others, sitting at the gate and waiting for the departure. And suddenly you listen the flight crew telling you, the flight will be delayed because of maintenance issue. Oh no. No, you don't like that. And this is where technology can help. So here, an example of a solution is we have developed a solution and are continuously improving it. It's the predictive health maintenance. The name of the solution for Collins is Essentia. And the whole goal here is to avoid unscheduled maintenance, which has multiple ripple effects. I'm not going to explain that to you. And so the way it works is it's continuously monitoring the products and then computing the data, and from there anticipating what maintenance action should be taken. And with that, the airline can turn the unscheduled into scheduled maintenance. So it's all good for everybody, starting with for us as passengers not sitting there, but also for the airlines, better operation, optimize operations. So that's one example. The second one, which is coming to my mind, is what we call the flight profile optimization. It's a tool, a decision-making tool, which allows both the flight crew, but also the airline dispatcher to better optimize the flight. So let me dive into that one. So the tool is collecting data from different sources, weather, turbulence, so it's all real-time data. That's where is the trick. It's weather, turbulence, it's the flight plan from the other aircraft, the surrounding environment, also the data coming from FlightAware, the precise ETA, airports data as well, gates and all of that. And it's looking at the holistic view of all of that, and then comes up with, after we have applied a lot of AI and machine learning, and comes up with, if you take that route, then you will save fuel, your flight will be smoother, you'll be on time, and you will not miss your track. So that's another example. There is many, and the more we process the data, and the more solutions we come up with to provide more and more value to everybody in this industry who want to optimize.
Nice. And what I particularly like about that example is it's really improving both the efficiency, but also sustainability goals by having less fuel and, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, you are correct. I missed the important point. Optimizing fuel burn is part also of the decision making in the tool.
Nice. So what I'm hearing a lot from these examples is that it's not just one data set in isolation or a silo where a lot of these solutions are coming from, but it's really the integration of data across, again, multiple sources. So I'd be curious for all of you to really talk about whether or not you're seeing other examples of how these data have been integrated, or in the future where you think that they might be opportunities.
So in terms of opportunities, I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of the industry realizing the power and the value of data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. It's just going to be tremendous. FlightAware has actually seen real value derived from this. Our customers are telling us that they're saving time, they're saving money, they're delivering a better product for their customers. So we really believe that this is the way of the future. Interconnecting disparate data sets is going to be a increasingly important part of this. It's a very big task, but it's going to unleash a tremendous amount of efficiencies. I've been dreaming about potential solutions, including the predictive health maintenance. So, what if you had a predictive health maintenance platform that was making proactive recommendations to do maintenance, that was then tied to a maintenance rostering program, that was then also tied to an inventory management database, that was also then tied to a dynamically updated estimated time of arrival and position of the aircraft. What you would have is a solution that could be generating these proactive maintenance requests, matching it with a maintenance technician, matching it with the inventory, and instructing exactly where that maintenance technician needs to go in order to accomplish that work. That's a tremendous amount of efficiency that could be unleashed. There's dozens of people within an airline that have to manage that process. And by the way, this is not about eliminating those people. This is about opening and utilizing their minds for their highest and best value, right? Those are rote things that they're doing over and over and over again that can be automated, and data and technology can help us with that. So let's unleash their minds solving the really, really hard problems, right? With these mass delay and cancellation problems with a hurricane or changing regulations related to COVID. That's where the human mind needs to be unleashed, and the data and technology can help us do these slightly easier things.
Right. Clotilde, do you have other additional comments to make, or Stacy?
I mean, I really like what you're saying, Matt. We're all just starting to connect the dots, and that's the beginning. Moving to decision making is a great next step, and then predictive is where everybody wants to get. I really, really like your points on, how we work with employees and how we maybe shift the mindset a little bit. Bringing the data together is only half of the power in the solution. How we bring people together and the way in which they collaborate, often across areas that you don't connect, is really where the magic happens. And I just think it's just a great journey that we're all about to go on together. There is so much we can do across this industry, particularly when it comes to customers. And tying our decisions closer back to customer satisfaction and how they feel about the airline and how they felt about the trip is just the beginning of where we can go.
Excellent. Clotilde.
Yeah, I think I could add a lot here, but let me start with FlightAware has joined Collins, a few months ago?
In November.
November,
yeah.
So recently. So many of you have experienced a company joining another one, and it takes a lot of time until you get the value of it. Here, it's just increasing. We've already started to integrate data from FlightAware with the data that Collins is getting access to. And let me pick an example. We have a solution for airports. It's an airplane which allows the airport to manage the resources. So the gates, the check-in, the baggage belt, and what we've been doing is we have integrated the firewall solution from FlightAware into that solution, which, guess what, makes it more accurate, which allows then the airport to more accurately manage all those resources. So did not take us a lot of time actually to get it ready, and the customer can already enjoy the value of it. So that's an example. I can bring another example. I know we have only 6 minutes, but let me bring another one. For when the pilot gets ready for the flight, we've designed a solution which we call Flight Hub, which is an electronic flight bag, where in just a single application, the pilot get access to the pre-flight, but also the flight plans, the weather, the post-flight, and everything is in a single application, and then with a workflow which goes with it, which is actually tailored to the way the airline is operating. Another example where we've been able to bring together all the data into a single source, and which helps being more efficient. Just 2 examples. I have more, but we don't have time.
No, that's fine. So to wrap up the session, I want you to now think about a crystal ball, right? So look into the future and give us your predictions for which technological advancements or data sources do you think are going to have the biggest potential moving forward? But most important, we've seen that, getting to success, there's often, bumps or hurdles or barriers in the way. So, like, what do you think is going to be the big advancement? But more importantly, what do you think are the barriers that we're going to have to overcome to get there? So, Stacy, I'll start with you. Yeah.
I think there's an incredible opportunity in the predictive and also simulation space to see what Newark's going to look like a few days from now, and then be able to think about the factors that could come into play. Maybe there's a storm we haven't planned for, and having time to come up with what the playbook is for those scenarios, so that ultimately we make better decisions for our employees and our customers that drive positive outcomes. I think there's just so much opportunity to do those things at an airline and strive to provide better experiences.
Excellent.
So clearly I'm a fan of artificial intelligence and machine learning. I think that's going to carry us very far down the road. I think all the organizations in here are sitting on a tremendous amount of data that has not even been considered yet as part of an effort to put into an artificial and machine learning database that can be leveraged. Speaking to your constraints question, I think some of those constraints are, big organizations, as they should be, are concerned about, personally identifiable information, things like GDPR. A lot of organizations should realize, though, that they have tremendous data sets that do not have any of that type of information in it. I think another hurdle that's in the way are questions around data ownership, who owns the derivative works around those data sets. There's no magic formula for that. That's just a conversation that needs to be had between the different entities who might want to be connecting those different data sets.
Clotilde.
Yeah, in addition to what was said, I would say that there is a lot of appetite for more value from those data. And because we all live with our cell phones, where we add more and more applications, and we're expecting that the aviation industry will run as fast as we do in our personal life. And we know that at the same time, safety is the first thing, the top priority. So the challenge is, how do we find the right balance here, as we want to go fast, but at the same time, safety is our mantra. So we have to learn how to fail fast, but without impacting the safety at all. And learning, going fast and learning failing is not something that the aviation is used to. I would say that's also a challenge.
Right. So in this move forward in terms of using new data sources or connecting it to different individuals, do you see a need for any standards created in the industry, or any methods for being able to facilitate data going forward? Just curious.
That's an interesting question. Probably so.
Yeah, okay.
There are good API standards that are out there today, automatic programming interface standards. We need to have a lot more conversations, though, around what raw data is, what embedded data is, what a derivative work is of this data, so that everyone can at least be on the same level playing field about their understanding of how data can be used, how it can be monetized, how it can be utilized within these organizations. So there are definitely more conversations to have along those lines.
Perfect. Well, I think we're almost out of time, so I just want to cycle back and say, I know we got a little technical here in terms of behind the scenes what's going on, but I hope that the next time each one of you flies, that you feel more comfortable, right, in doing it, and know that not only are efforts underway to make your experience stress-free and hopefully on time, but then when things do go awry, there's other tools in place to help you, with irregular operations. So with that, I'd like to thank our panelists and wish you each a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.